Commerce has always been about trust from the very beginning, right? That's very fundamental. Every piece of content now, though, is becoming a buying opportunity. And we have a really interesting panel here because each of our panelists has a unique perspective on that opportunity. So Eric, you sit right in the middle of content trust infrastructure. You're a content company. The Desire company is a content company. Jasmine, Instacart, is also a platform, a retail media platform. So you've got some really interesting dynamics going on. And Sarah, you are a brand buying into the retail media environment, right?
Very much. Very much so.
All right. So we know you by title because they're all behind us on the wall. Can you tell us, let us get to know you a little bit better before we get into the topic. So starting with you, Sarah, can you tell us something you've learned in your work that shapes who you are, that brings your perspective to you as a professional?
Absolutely. I think one of the most important things I've learned, and I literally run into it every single day when I'm working, is the importance of research and not me search. So it's taking out that human bias and you're thinking that, oh, I understand this demographic because I do it, or I have a focus group of one Gen Z kid that I know in my life and what they say shapes everything. No, make sure you're doing proper research. So shout out to Fordham University, who's our research partner, and making sure that we are doing real research to guide all of our marketing campaigns.
Great lesson. What about you, Eric?
Yeah, I think it's not about what we can do or what we want to do. Everything about work and life is just, what do people need you to do? What problems can you solve for somebody? Every client that we go to, it's within the same realm, but it's always a little bit different. So understanding their needs truly, what they're really asking you, and then being able to fulfill and solve their problems, that's all they care about.
Yeah, and I would say related to consumer research or customer research is putting that research into action. I lead both our brand and product marketing team, and so a very important part of the last 15-ish years of my career has been to be the voice of the customer, both inside the company as well as being the voice of the product to the customer. And so it's not just how it might shape a brand campaign, but also how it shapes the products and the experiences we build.
Thanks for that. All right, Eric, you're going to start us off. I want to ask you to kind of anchor us in our topic. So we're going to cover 3 areas today. We're going to first kind of define the shift. Then we're going to talk about trust and content. And then I think we'll get into where the value is moving. So in terms of defining the shift, my question for you, and it's a question for each of you really, is that commerce media gets talked about like everyone agrees on what it means. Do you think we actually do?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. A lot of people call it retail media. Some call it commerce media. Some call it experience networks. At the end of the day, it's based on how good is your data on an individual and can you truly serve them the right message at the right time. The opportunity, I think, is when it comes to what's the right message for that individual. And that's where the trust and shift comes in. But when you talk about the shift in this entire industry, there's $1.3 trillion of money that is shifting. It's not new money. It's not additional money. It's money that brands had to pay advertising agencies. And now the retailers are saying, you know what? You actually should give us that money. Because we know your customer, we know when they're shopping for a new television or they're looking at a competitive product or they bought something and you have a new product that could pair with it. But what they are not is they're not creative agencies. So there's actually a trust factor just with that. Like, yeah, okay, I understand why you don't want me to pay a traditional advertising agency, why you want me to give you the money as a retailer, but can you fulfill the needs that I have as a brand to communicate that message? And a lot of people are trying with the top of the funnel influencer and this and that, and that's great. That's an awareness play. But when it comes to trust and conversion, we're seeing a very, very different shift when it comes to people just want to know what is the product, how does it work, who's it recommended for, what are the results that I could expect, and where that comes from is from an expert who knows that product and knows how to talk about it.
So I just want to go one step deeper there because you make a sharp distinction between influencers and experts, and most people collapse those two. Can you just say a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I think influencers are entertainment, and it's great, and it's something that you enjoy watching. But when somebody's shopping, that's not what they're looking for. They're not looking for entertainment. They're looking for product education. Is this the right product for me? Is this going to fulfill my needs? Does this do what I think it does? That's not what you're getting from an influencer. The other difference is now with agentic commerce and starting your shopping experience within a chat GPT or whatever. AI doesn't pick up on the influencer. It literally skips it because it's all about layers of data that AI is looking for. People don't shop by TV. They shop by, I have a bright room with a lot of windows, and sometimes I need, a movie that I could watch in the middle of the day with little blinds and at night with crisp clarity. That's not how you shop on retailers' websites. So AI picks up something totally different than influencer.
So, Jasmine, does the Instacart's definition of commerce media look different because you're both the platform and a brand?
No, I wouldn't say it looks different because of that. So the way I would say the definition sort of is up for debate is, yes, commerce media, retail media, if you will, started as a performance marketing lever, right? Because to your point, it gives you that ad to conversion measurement, that closed loop measurement. And that is actually a big part of what Instacart offers to CPG brands. And it's very much that closed loop measurement that you can count on. But I think where it's going, and I think where Instacart is pioneering the path, is that ad doesn't just start on platform. It can now start off platform, right? So when you really start to think about even your brand media dollars, where you might be spending further up funnel, retail media can really stretch to create a better connection between all of the media buying that you're doing.
And we're going to get into that a little more. What's your take, Sarah?
Well, for us, and it's funny you said definitions change, because even before we went on here, I'm like, what exactly are we talking about when we say commerce? Because it is true. For us at Hisense, it's definitely our retailer platforms, and they're vital to our success because the majority of our products are not D2C. So I'm only going to sell you a TV if you're going to go on Best Buy or go in store. And because of that, the relationship we have with the retail platforms is how we get all of our conversion data. That's how we get a lot of the analytics that we need to even judge if something is working or not working. So absolutely, retail media is probably the most important place that I invest my money in from a media spend. And then the other area that's super important is content. Content is king. I need to have content that's going to break through that clutter.
Sarah, while we've got you on that theme, can you tell us, when was it that you realized that the line between media and commerce had fundamentally shifted? And what did you do differently, the next day or the next week?
I don't think it ever was an aha moment. It's been a gradual shift for sure. And previously in past jobs, there's just been different types of evolution in this space. But I think really realizing at Hisense, because we are not D2C, retail media means something entirely differently. So right now, we're official sponsors of this little thing going on you might have heard of called FIFA World Cup. I don't know if anyone knows that that's happening right now. So everything that we're doing when it comes to FIFA World Cup is turning a relationship with a sponsor, a partner, on its head. It's all about taking that as an asset to use in content to tell our product story, and how we tell that story depends on what channel we're using, but it's all in service of pushing the consumer down the path to purchase to retail, so that by the time they get there, they're so sure they want to buy Hisense to watch their matches that they're not even considering anything else.
Jasmine, question for you. You see trends before they go viral because you're sitting on this really personal grocery shopping data. So what did you do when you first realized that you had an asset there? What have you done with that?
So it also wasn't an aha moment. But what I will say is, yes, we sit on a great deal. Instacart sits on a great deal of data. We sit on 1.6 billion lifetime orders. 22 million unique items, and a live inventory feed from over 100,000 stores, right? So there is truly power in the retail media aspects of the platform. And we leverage that data across both our brand experiences as well as our commercial experiences. So on the brand side, for instance, a little fun fact, there have been over 1 billion orders of bananas on Instacart. And an interesting bit about that is within that 1 billion bananas that have been purchased, we have about 32 million unique shopper notes on those bananas. That's where a consumer writes in and puts the banana in their cart, and then they give you a little note to say exactly how they want them. And we started to look at that data, and it was really eye-opening to see how particular people are about bananas. And I was really shocked, actually, about how many people like their bananas green. And so no offense if you like your bananas green, but I thought that was a bit insane.
Yeah, rings so true.
So it's right. So that gave us a leeway to start to think about, okay, how do we want to make sure that everyone knows that you can get your bananas just how you like on Instacart? Well, it starts, like I said, with that insight, and then how do we change the product first? And so we built a feature called the Preference Picker, where now every person can just select which color banana do you want today, a green, yellow, or a spotted banana. And so we changed the product experience, and then from there, that was the root of our Super Bowl ad, was sharing with everybody that you can get your bananas just how you like. So that's like the way we leverage data on the brand side, the side I sit on. But on the commercial side, our CPG partners come to us for those same reasons, the power of working with 2,200 retailers. They know that if you want to sell a television even, that you can come to Instacart, consumers can come to Instacart and get those experiences. And so it's trust on both sides. And of course we have clean rooms, and we make sure that things our technology is held to the highest privacy standards and really ethical collaboration models, but it does serve both sides. Of the business.
I think we need a collab, I'm hearing. Since we're
so.
not really
I think
the
so.
same. Who would want to buy a TV on Instacart?
Yes.
You can just, you're getting all your watch party.
I mean, you should. I mean, TVs can be quite heavy. And Best Buy is one of our value retail partners.
Yeah.
So you can definitely order right
Your
from our
next watch party. Get everything you need from Instacart, including your TV.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes. Love it.
All right, well, let's stay with trust, because everyone says trust is the foundation of commerce media, and it's been, looming large in the discussion all week. So trust with whom? The consumer for sure, the retailer, the regulator. Talk about those a little, and I want you to start, Eric, because I think you're sitting in a specifically interesting spot on that question.
Yeah, I mean, the FTC has finally really started cracking down on this, on the trust factors here and how the data is being used, and particularly around endorsements and what's an implied endorsement, what's an actual endorsement, what's influencer-led. But also now what we're seeing that's really interesting, and I think this is the most fascinating thing. So my wife would put into Instacart, she wants the spotted bananas because she wants them to go bad so she has a reason to make banana bread. Right? But so then, great, fantastic. If I'm sugar, if I'm chocolate chips, I want that data from you so that I could start advertising to me and my family and saying, like, I want them to buy my chocolate chips. But guess who else could use that information? Insurance companies, who are then going to decline my whatever it might be in the future because they know that we're eating a lot of sugary food. We're not eating all that much. It's very rare. But they could absolutely start using that. So it's a really good thing that regulators are getting involved. It does create a little bit more responsibility to be held and feet to the fire. There's a $62,000 fine per fake review now, which is starting to be enforced finally.
I actually wondered if this was your best business development play.
Right.
Because of your expert content.
Well, exactly. Like we've always said, informed over influenced. Like you should not have to be influenced to make a purchase. You should be informed to make the right purchase. That's going to decrease returns. That's going to get you the right product the first time. It's going to make the shopping experience fun again, not exhausting. So and that's why the FTC and at the ANA Masters of Advertising Legal Conference, we gave a keynote with the lawyer, the top-sided lawyer from the FTC document, or from the FTC new report, because there are a lot of players who are starting to get dinged, and those $62,000 fines per violation are really going to add up. So brands have to be a little bit more cautious than the past couple of years, which has really been like the wild, wild west.
And Jasmine, you have an interesting challenge, which I'm sure you've been thinking a lot about. You sell ads to the same CPG brands you compete with for consumer attention. How do you keep those roles from conflicting?
Well, they don't actually compete, right? Because the brands are being sold on our platform. So I don't see it as tension at all, actually, and actually a great opportunity for collaboration. We are, by definition, a retail media platform, right? So when it comes to our retailers, our commitment and responsibility to them is to build the best technology possible so that they can serve their grocery consumers, because at the end of the day, it is their consumer. And then whether that's a storefront within our app or a white label enterprise offering. And then for our CPG partners, it really is a partnership and a win-win. And they can see us as a way in which they can reach new customers that might not even be in their category today. So we don't see it as a conflict of interest at all.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for clarifying that for me. All right, so Eric, you make a really sharp distinction between influence and expertise, right? We talked about that a little bit at the top. Retailers optimize for conversion, not credibility. So how do you make the ROI case?
Well, credibility is what converts these days. So if you walk into Sam's Club's suite, all you'll see right now on their wall is expert-led videos increase sales 4x. 3x for these type of products, up to 10x, not 4% lift, a 4 times lift. They're the largest mattress seller in America, and by putting expert reviews of different mattresses, they sell 4 times as many mattresses. So it's not about, again, just an influencer talking about something on that awareness level. Cool. When it gets to conversion, you need to go deeper. And the best way to do that is with somebody who's actually able to explain the product from an expert perspective. We've done great work from Best Buy for you guys. So they buy our services for Hisense. You've had our content on Instacart from the first time that you started putting video up there. And those things convert better than anything else in the market right now.
You mentioned earlier, and I didn't get a chance to dig into it, so maybe we'll dig into it here on stage. You said you have a real point of view on creator content, influencer content. Can you share it with us?
Yeah, it's definitely a big part of what we do, and the differentiation between expert and influencer, and I know you were talking to that, that's huge for us, because when someone's looking to buy a TV, they want to take the advice of someone that knows about TVs. They're not going to, say we're doing the FIFA World Cup, go to someone who's a super soccer fan to tell them what TV they should buy. Like, it's just, from a philosophical perspective, you really have to make sure you're working with the influencers that influence purchase decision. And for us, what we did with FIFA World Cup, when we turned that on its head, rather than focusing on that super soccer fan, we looked at what's the other insight. And it is that 60% of Americans say they would much rather watch an event at home on their couch with their friends than go in person anymore. We as Americans love to host, and we want to stay home. No one has a problem with that anymore. So knowing that insight, it's how we shifted the entire campaign to focus on hosting, because it opens up the TAM and we get a lot more people in. So the influencers that I'm partnering with for our Outhost with Hisense campaign for FIFA, they are influencing purchase decisions, but they also have relevancy in that whole hosting space. So that's where I have such strong opinions, because I have people that come up to me and my team every day saying they're a creator and they love our TVs and they want to do something with us. And that's wonderful. We love brand fans. I'm not at all knocking that. But we only have a limited amount of budget for what we put into it. We have to make sure that we're really maximizing that spend with people that are influencing the purchase decision at the end of the day.
Speaking of budget, I was going to ask you, you're a challenger brand and, competing against competitors who, and in a category that's got some really entrenched competitors. So when you can't just outspend, what's the playbook?
I don't think it doesn't matter how big your budget is. You can't base it on the ability to outspend, or that's a poor use of spending regardless of what you're doing. It's immaterial almost how big or how small of a brand you are. It's all about smart spending. And that's why, when I partner with influencers, I want to make sure they're, at the end of the day, helping me drive sellout. So all the marketing tactics that I do need to be focused on how we can sell more product, or else I wouldn't be doing my job as a marketer.
That's 100%. All right, so beyond retail media, and I'm interested in your perspective on this, Jasmine. All of you probably have a point of view. So there's financial, healthcare, travel media. These areas are just getting started. Which ones do you think brands should be paying attention to?
I mean, they are all emerging. But when I think about it, I look at what were the sort of early attributes of retail media and what of those other categories have similarities. And where I land is travel media. And the reason being is travel is already fragmented. Travel marketing, the end-to-end travel journey could start online. It could start with a conversation. It ends when you return home, hopefully not to an empty refrigerator because you've ordered your groceries on Instacart to meet you there. But it truly is, it has all the recipes, ingredients of where retail media was a few years ago, where you want to meet the consumer, the traveling consumer, exactly where they are, and give them the most relevant message to drive that engagement and ultimately, a mutual beneficial experience.
Sarah, do you have a take? What brand should be paying attention to in terms of emerging commerce media and why?
Well, we're all about retail. So that's more for my industry. It is really focused on retail. I will say also what's happening for the operating systems and those media platforms. It's an interesting evolution in your shopping journey. If you're sitting and watching something on TV and then you get a prompt that you could buy that product right there through your screen, because ultimately it's a giant version of your phone. So why not do your shopping through it? So the operating systems, I think, have another interesting future ahead of them. I don't think it's completely evolved, and I think it's powered when you combine the two with something like an Amazon, where you can watch Amazon Prime on your TV, you can use the Fire operating system, and then you can also shop through Amazon itself. So I think we'll be seeing some more specialization, but we'll also be seeing a lot more blurring of the lines.
Yeah.
I think Instacart in particular, you have an amazing proposition where you could be on one of my TVs and people could shop directly through you.
Well, we should absolutely talk after this panel.
Lots of ideas.
And we do. We have strategic partnerships today with NBCU, where that is exactly the experience. You could be watching the latest episode of Love Island and get really intrigued about that episode and want to order some snacks to continue watching. And we have experiences called virtual concessions, where you can literally scan and start shopping on Instacart right away. So yes, let's chat.
We'll keep talking.
So Eric, what's your take on that question?
Yeah, I totally agree that travel is the most exciting opportunity because you've seen United and Delta start, but I think they have a long way to go. I'm really excited for them to figure it out. They know where I'm going, how long I'm going to be there, how often I'm traveling there. I would love to be able to be I need my refrigerator filled before I get home. I'm just taking off. Let me order from Instacart right now some groceries to make sure they're there for dinner, so we don't have to stop at the store or order food when we get home. Those would be nice customer bonuses that we're able to get, but also we're seeing some development within the cruise lines and those type of different travel sectors. There's a lot of, anybody who has the data, I'm looking forward to the credit cards kind of figuring out how to use this appropriately and to better our experiences. So it's an exciting time for retail media though.
Yeah, of course, when you think about credit card transactions versus Instacart knows what's in your basket, right? And that tells you a lot. Okay, so I have a question, sort of lightning round for each of you. Our last one we have time for. So since there's so much happening in this category, so much emerging, 2-3 years from now, which company, maybe not in this room, will own the most important piece of the commerce media value chain that no one's talking about yet?
I can start. So I wouldn't say that it's something people aren't talking about yet, but it's definitely something that hasn't been figured out yet. And I think it's a company potentially that it actually doesn't exist today. And that's one that can truly solve the measurement problem, right? There's this proliferation of retail media platforms, and brands need to understand how it all comes together and see the biggest picture possible. And that's not exactly something that's been solved yet. So my hot take is it's probably a company that doesn't even exist yet.
I think it's a company who hasn't entered the conversation yet, and I'm terrified of when they do, but I think it's going to be the insurance companies. They're going to start collaborating with the credit card companies, the grocery, the Instacarts of the world. They're going to be seeing what our habits are. They're going to be selling to us on a basis of that, but they're also going to be making a lot of decisions in the future on the basis of that.
That's an interesting view. All right, 30 seconds. What's your take?
I think I'm going to have to go slightly along the lines of what Jasmine's saying. I think it's out there, and it's 2 to 3 years, you said?
Yeah, well, that was my time horizon.
So they're definitely probably are in this room, but not in the way that we think they are. And they're going to figure out that blurring, because that's where we're seeing the evolution. It's coming from multiple different channels kind of blending together to solve one consumer problem, but through a bunch of different means. And these people are sitting on a wealth of data that they don't even realize yet. Maybe it's going to be the Weather Channel. That might be the next one.
All right, well, that brings us to the end of our time. Companies that win are going to prize trust equity over the volume of data. Trust lives at the intersection of content, context, and credibility. Value is shifting fast, and there's some new players. There's a lot of fresh stuff happening in this category. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.